going on, everybody? We got Season 4 of JR Takes kicking off today. We've also got free agency in the NFL kicking off as well. A lot of big moves have happened since we last joined you guys on the pod a week ago. Geno Smith getting traded to the Raiders for a third-round pick. D.K. Metcalf getting traded to the Steelers for a second-round pick. And now today we've got Sam Darnold signing for 3 years. What was it, 110?
It was like 100.5, I think, total over 3 years. But what I really like about it is it's, in essence, a 2-year, $55 million contract because that's the guaranteed money. And really, when you see these contract numbers pop up, that's what you want to look for because that's what your actual obligation to the player is financially.
Right. And so bringing Darnold aboard, what are your overall thoughts on Sammy D as in comparison to Geno?
You know, I've been toying with the idea of it basically since the season ended because it was evident that it was going to be an option. You know, I was always under the impression that we were going to try to re-sign Geno to one more contract because it's what Mike McDonald was saying, is what John Schneider was saying. Like, they kept that under wraps pretty well, I would say, the team. There was less coming out about that than like even the Russell Wilson trade, which a lot of people didn't see coming, myself included.
Right.
But yeah, like when the news broke this morning, I'm not gonna lie, I was underwhelmed just because, you know, you look at this guy and he was drafted by the Jets, granted dog shit organization. We just had a very successful run with a quarterback that was drafted by the Jets and then had a bad start to his career, revived it with us. But you're paying him this money off of 1 year, playing for a really good team, throwing to the best receiver in the league, one of the best tight ends in the league, with better pass protection than what the Seahawks had. So I'll say this. I think from a pure quarterbacking standpoint, Sam Darnold had a better season than Geno last year, like more
yards. 35 touchdowns.
Yeah, and I guess what really concerned me is he started off like a top 5 quarterback, and then the last 4 or 5 games of the year looked like more human, I guess, kind of started to crumble a little bit.
I don't know. He looked pretty good against us.
Oh, I mean, that throw he hit to beat us, flushed out to his left in the pocket, and then hitting a deep ball to Justin Jefferson over, I think, Tariq Woolen. That was impressive. That's the kind of throw that really shows off the arm talent that he has. That is why he was drafted, I believe, like top 5 out of USC. 3? Yeah. It's hard to remember because what was that, the 2019 draft? The Drew Lock
whatever
one?
Draft Baker was in.
Oh, really? So it was 2018. Damn.
I believe so.
It's crazy that he's only 27 then for being in the league for 7 years. Like, he was drafted really young. I guess I didn't realize that.
I guess that's kind of why I'm on the Sam Darnold train, and I'm happy to climb aboard, is because I feel like, okay, what did we just learn from Geno the past 3 years we had him? He didn't even have a season like Sam Darnold, and we gave him the starting job. So that's kind of where my optimism comes from, is like, we just watched Sam Darnold. I mean, I know he had guys to throw to, but so did Geno. And Geno didn't throw 35 touchdowns. You're going to tell me that's all due to line play? Okay, fine. I'll give you that. But, like, the Vikings also lost their starting left tackle in, what was it, week 5 or week 6?
Yeah, and they made a move to get another guy. I can't even remember who it was, honestly. I think they made a trade for a left tackle after that as a Band-Aid. But, yeah, I mean,
sure, but
their tackle, I think, is it Darisaw that they lost?
Yes.
He's like an all-pro. So
yeah.
that's a huge, and it's part of why they crumbled down the stretch, I think.
Right. But I guess when it comes to Sam Darnold, I just feel like we just watched him have an awesome season.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
it happened. So
no argument from me there. I guess here's where I stand with it right now. I think the contract is good. You don't get a quarterback of that caliber that's demonstrated they can do it for more than, like 3 games.
Agreed.
For less than what we just signed him for.
And that's why I like the deal.
This is very similar to like what the Bucs did with Baker Mayfield, and that's allowed them to become like, a very quick turnaround, solid franchise, playoff contender. They were doinked kick away from moving on in the playoffs this last postseason. So I guess where I'm at with it is, John, you just cut, Draymond Jones, Tyler Lockett, we predicted that last podcast. Roy Robertson Harris, George Fant, a couple of other guys that, no one's going to. Yeah, no one's really going to be missing all that much. You traded DK, you traded Geno. You have all this cap space now. You got to get one of these top offensive line free agents.
If he drafts a receiver with the number 1 pick, I just cannot believe that will happen.
I would be okay with that personally, just because our receiving core is so. You're telling me Jake Bobo is gonna line up starting week 1? Yeah, we can't have that.
But I love Jake Bobo. We just watched the Titans 2 years ago trade AJ Brown for Treylon Burks, and that blew up in their face, more so than the firework that blew up in Jason Pierre-Paul's hand.
Well, we're not the Titans. We are a much better franchise and organization than the Titans.
I will be very disappointed if we, once again, with our first pick, go away from the line of scrimmage. That's all I'm saying.
I think, if the board plays out to where, a Membu is there or something, or just, one of these top, tackle, guard, swing guys, if they're there and they draft a receiver over him, I agree. I think that's a dumb decision factoring in team need and what was obviously a weaker point last year, even losing Lockett and Metcalf. But, if all the first-round worthy linemen are gone by the time we pick and someone one of these top receivers like Luther Burden or something is available, I wouldn't be disappointed at all with that personally. But I do think if you can get one of these better – especially with how much, have you seen how much guards are getting paid today? That guy from the 49ers signed with, I believe, the Packers. Can't remember his name, but he's getting a massive contract. And every Packers fan I've seen has been pissed because, this is not a Laken Tomlinson level player, but he's an average guard, and they gave him $20 million a year or something like that. So if you can get a guard that's better half of the league in the draft, you're paying them a fraction of that, and then you have them under club control for up to 5 years in the first round. So totally agree with you on that front. I think what we should do is take the DK pick we got and get a potential DK replacement. And there's a guy out of Iowa State, not as fast as DK. No one is the muscly frame that is DK. But Jaden Higgins is 6'4". He's produced pretty well at the college level. He's projected to go in the second round. He's actually PFF. I believe he's the 50th or 52nd ranked prospect. So if they do go offensive line with their first pick, the next 2 picks are 50 and 52. They could take someone like him with either of those picks, and I don't expect a rookie like that to come in and immediately produce to the level DK was, but he's got the profile to project to it. And also, DK was an end of the second round draft pick, as you were saying. So you don't necessarily have to get a Matthew Golden who runs, 70 miles an hour at 18. You don't have to force the pick.
Yeah,
I would say.
There's some Jaden Higgins highlight reel. I just found this on here. So what'd you say his stats were? 6'4"?
He's at the least 6'3". I want to say he's approaching 6'5" though. He's super tall. He's kind of like a Keenan Allen body type. But just from these quick little highlights we've seen here, he's a really good contested catch guy. So if you can have someone with a bigger frame like him go outside, and that allows JSN to stay in the slot a lot of the time, that's where JSN cooks. That's why he was one of the best slot receivers in the league last year. So I think it's crucial to get that big outside guy for Clint Kubiak's potential offense to work.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have the guys you're looking at. I have mine. I was doing a mock draft for the Seahawks yesterday. And I just did the first 5 rounds. But receiver that's available in the 5th round that caught my eye.
WSU guy?
Kyron Lacey.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he has the frame, the numbers, the body work.
And the speed. He ran really well at the combine.
Apparently he got arrested at the end of in December.
What was it for?
car accident or something. Yeah, so I'm wondering if that's why he fell to that far, because I'm looking at him and I'm like, all right, what do we know about LSU guys, LSU receivers specifically? They translate very well to the NFL.
I thought he was WSU, or this is a LSU receiver.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking of someone else then.
This guy, Kyron Lacey.
Yeah. And obviously he's not as big as DK, but still has the 6'2" frame. He's like 215. I like rolling the dice on a guy like that. You don't have to spend a high pick, because I value the higher picks to be translated to the line of scrimmage. And granted, it's not going to work out perfectly. Mm-hmm. We'll probably have to, make some adjustments on the fly given who's taken what and where. But yeah, I personally would like to see them address receiver a little later, I guess, was my angle from looking at the guy from LSU.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I honestly, after losing Tyler and DK, I think you got to get 2 receivers in this draft or / free agency. Cooper Kupp got released today. I'm just gonna say off the bat, I'm not interested. He would be like kind of the same concept as JSN, but old, slower, and diminishing athleticism. He started his NFL career pretty old, I think, like 24, 25. Mm-hmm. So he's already in his early 30s. It's just, I wouldn't hate it. I mean, he's still got something, but like he's wide receiver 3 in this offense. So I still think we would need to get a guy on the outside. Mm-hmm. But yeah, bottom line is we got to rebuild that receiver core at some point. If we get 2 guys in the middle of the round and they're, draft steals, great. But I think what's nice is, especially with signing Sam Darnold, we shouldn't feel forced to have to draft a quarterback, which is, I think, the worst place to be in as a franchise. Because
I agree.
Like, yeah, it's the most important position, but as we've seen time and time again, if you don't build a good situation around a quarterback, there's only so much they can do. And
once you start reaching for guys that aren't first round talent, you wind up with players like Mac Jones. Yeah. That wasn't a shot at you, I promise.
That's okay. It's okay. We can move on. There's 1,000 NFL players. We can talk about some other ones. But yeah, I have to say, like, all in all, I think if you take what we've done at the quarterback position, and I'll get more to the DK trade in a minute, just on its face, you get a quarterback who last year in a vacuum played better than Geno Smith. I think Geno had a way more challenging situation, but stats are stats. You get that quarterback for a reduced potential contract than you were going to pay Geno than what he's going to pay or going to get paid by the Raiders and Pete, and you get a 3rd-round pick out of it, top 100 pick. That's whether or not Sam Darnold is better than Geno, just as a pure transaction, it's pretty good. It's not. I'm not going to give it an A, but it's like you can't be mad at that. There's like clear logic and the winning ends to it.
Well, also, who's to say? Because I was even having these thoughts too. It's like, okay, we signed Sam Darnold for a similar contract to Geno. It's basically like we're delaying addressing the quarterback issue because we don't know if he's going to be the long-term answer.
It's a good year to delay it, though.
However, are we all forgetting, like, the Chiefs, who had Alex Smith, who were a good team when they drafted Patrick Mahomes, traded up to get Patrick Mahomes? Who's to say we can't do that?
I think we look at doing that next year or the year after.
I think we are going to do that because we're already going to build we already have the pieces we need to build a foundation for our defense and our offense. Well, that's in hopes that we draft offensive linemen this year. But I just feel like we're going to have all the pieces set. It seems like the perfect opportunity to trade up for a quarterback, for like a Arch Manning.
Yeah, I mean, that would be incredible. That, like, you like, we're kind of setting a trend right now where we have our quarterback, we get them into the tail end of their prime, and then we trade them for a pretty good haul. We just did that with Russell Wilson. Very good haul. Reset the trajectory of this franchise.
And we just did it with Geno.
We just did it with Geno. I mean, like, yeah, like you would have liked to get a second or something, but I mean, a top 100 pick is.
I was happy with a third. I thought that was.
I was a little
fair.
disappointed that it was the third they got from the Jets, which was lower, because at first I thought it was the 73rd pick or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. But I think it's like pick 90 or something like that, which is what it is. I mean, I'm not gonna like split hairs over it, but yeah, it's not a bad haul. So like, what if in a couple of years, we draft our guy next year, get our second year out of Sam Darnold, and he plays really well, then you trade him for like a first round pick, and then you start an Arch Manning or something. Like that is an option. That'd be crazy. Who knows?
I also just feel like, I mean, I like where the Seahawks are going at almost every position besides quarterback. Like I'm talking big picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm confident that we have the pieces. Those pieces will develop, and we will have a legit defense and offense, both sides of the ball. But that's kind of what gives me the idea of why can't we trade up and trade some draft picks to get a quarterback? Because we're already going to have the team set anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Chiefs did. So why can't we do that?
Are you talking this year?
Not this year.
Okay.
No. There's not a quarterback that we should do that with, in my opinion.
I think you'd have to get to number one to justify that, to get like Cam Ward, and I don't see how that would work out well for him or us, especially after we sign Sam Darnold. Makes no sense. But
yeah, no, I'm talking earliest next year.
Yeah, I'm with you. We also have cleared up insane cap space for 2026. Like we're cleared up a ton this year. Even re-signing Ernest Jones, we got for like $11 million a year, which is crazy if you look at what some of these mid linebackers are getting paid. And Jerron Reed, I was kind of curious that we re-signed him to a 3-year deal, but Mike McDonald loves him. I think he does a lot of dirty work in our defense, and it's kind of funny. Jerron Reed was drafted at the tail end of the Legion of Boom era, and he's never someone you thought would like stick around this long and kind of enter the. Is this guy like maybe going to end up being a Ring of Honor player? But if you look at his all-time stats for like sacks and pressures and stuff, he's moving up that leaderboard.
I was kind of hoping that they wouldn't bring him back because I wanted Byron Murphy to get more of a responsibility role on that D-line. But, I mean, they know something I don't if they're bringing him back again.
Well,
so.
I think if there's anything a team like the Eagles has showed us is that the key to an elite D-line is like keeping a rotation. And even when the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, like
we had a rotation.
Yeah, Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill were like situational pass rushers. They weren't every down players, which is crazy. But that's why they were so good, Like you had massive Red Bryant playing first and second down and just ruining offensive lineman's life. And then in third and medium or long, you have these speed rushers coming in to just kill you off the edge. It's great. I think this team still needs a number one edge. I don't think we have one on this roster right now. I think we have like 3 number 2s in Uchenna, in Boye, and in Derek Hall. Good players, but like, I mean,
we don't have superstars.
No, you don't have a Max Crosby. You don't have a Myles Garrett. Those guys don't grow on trees. Those guys are usually picked in the top 5. So there's a reason why we don't have them. But I think we got to find a way to generate that kind of just chaos for opposing quarterbacks.
Do you think anyone will sign Joey Bosa to his stupid contract, or do you think he's a piece that we could get if we went after?
I mean, he's 30. He hasn't played a full season in like 4 years. So I think he could be someone where if he makes it through the first wave of free agency without being signed, you could get him for like $6 to $8 million. And
there's just no way a team like the fucking like Jaguars aren't going to sign him.
I feel like the 49ers might sign him because think about it. They got his brother.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, like, I would be game for that. I'm not paying big money for injured 30-year-old Joey Bosa. But I would pay, bargain bin for like the chance that he revives his career.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few names out there in free agency. Like, I mean, Chase Young is a free agent again. He's still only 26. I feel like he's kind of just Jadeveon Clowney round 2.
I feel like he's the Kyle Pitts of D linemen.
Kind of.
It's like, bro, if you were good, you'd be good by now. That's the way I feel.
Yeah, it's
about
not
it.
like he's been terrible. It's just like, he was like the number 2 overall pick or something like that. And he's been an average pass rusher, more or less. He had that crazy pick 6 or whatever his rookie year. And I feel like that was a career highlight video for him.
I don't even remember that. So
Yeah.
shows you how memorable it was.
Yeah, there you go.
So I guess we can kind of, or do you want to talk a little bit more about the Seahawks?
Yeah, I wanted to talk more about the DK trade because
right. Okay, yeah. We didn't really touch on that.
I mean, also just want to acknowledge, you ended up being correct about our plans with Geno. You've been kind of like Mike Salk, where you've been talking about, you were saying to trade him to the Raiders like months ago.
I said that like I was kind of joking because I was like, oh, Pete will probably want him. Let's trade him to the Raiders. And then he did.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. We get a third-round pick. Sweet.
I always, the second they signed him, I was like, Pete loves Geno. Like, Pete just has like a soft spot for guys with a chip on their shoulder that have been counted out. Like, I mean, that's kind of his bread and butter. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised at all that it happened. I guess I was surprised in the moment because I didn't hear any rumors about it and didn't hear anything to lead me to think it was going to happen. But I guess moving on from that, let's talk about the DK trade.
Real quick, before we move on for the Geno thing, don't you think it's kind of funny and maybe it explains why people like Richard Sherman are so butthurt about the way Seahawks do business? Is like all I heard was, oh, Geno's our guy. Oh, we want to pay Geno. Oh, Geno's our guy, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, no, he wasn't because you just traded him. So, like, every offseason I'm reminded, or I guess I relearn, oh, these guys are just smoke and mirrors 24/7 until the actual draft happens because they're not going to show their chips.
Also, I think John Schneider is a GM. His bottom line is when you're on the back nine of your career, he's not going to pay you top dollar. He just won't. He didn't with our franchise quarterback twice now. So, I mean, he didn't do it with Richard Sherman. You could go down the list of guys that got close or past 30 and were gone.
Which also Richard Sherman said the Seahawks are the only franchise that doesn't have players playing on their franchise for 15 years. Bro, this isn't 1998 anymore. No one does that.
Yeah, not since free agency was the thing.
No one, like,
you think we were?
the NFL,
I love Tyler Lockett, one of my all-time favorite Seahawks. You think I would have been okay with paying him $30 million at age 32? Because that's what he was due if we didn't cut him. Like,
I know.
Richard, I know you didn't major in math or accounting, but you got a degree. Like, come on. Use some logic here, bro.
Exactly. I'm just, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about Sherm. His.
Still love Sherm, don't love all his takes.
I don't even know if I love Sherm, to be honest with you. I don't really know if I like him that
I
much,
can never dislike a man that, got us a Super Bowl. I will say that. But yeah, the DK trade, just talking about its value. You've been okay with trading DK for since we started this podcast.
I wanted to trade him a year ago.
Yeah. So do you feel like the 52nd overall pick from Mike Tomlin's Steelers is a good haul?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Just based on for example, Debo going for a 5th, and the Commanders are
same draft class, by the way.
Yeah. I know it was Debo, DK, and AJ were the big 3 in the second round in that draft class. I don't know. I just feel like DK. Okay, I'll give you a little side story. Today I was at work and a Packers fan came in and we had the ESPN on talking about all the free agency deals and all that. And he was just talking about how the Packers were looking at DK and he was like all for it, but then when he saw what DK got paid, he was like, no, I'm glad we didn't trade for him. And it's like, you got a Packers fan saying that when Packers are itching for a wide receiver 1. Like, it's not just me that doesn't believe in the DK sweepstakes. You gotta. We're not the only people that are I guess not believers in the DK being a wide receiver 1 and taking over games, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think the thing with DK is because he has such a superstar aesthetic to him. In we play the Cowboys, he takes that slant route 80 yards for a touchdown with his visor and the throwbacks. It just looks awesome. He has the chase down play in 2020. He had a huge playoff game as a rookie against the Eagles. Like he's showed up big in some big moments, and he's produced really well over the first 6 years of his career. But you cannot look at me in the eye and tell me that he's on the same level as like a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, an A.J. Brown, like a Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like he just does not produce at those guys' level. He just doesn't. He's, like peak, like 12th best receiver in the league, maybe. And I think something I heard on the Rocket Salk podcast is really relevant to this discussion, where if you want to be great, you got to pay great players top dollar. You don't want to pay really good players top dollar, if that makes sense. And there is a gap between like the tippy top, at the peak of the mountain players and the guys just below that, at the last summit or whatever. And that's kind of what DK is. And if he was going to ascend past that, he'd probably have done that by age 27,
I saw it today. Colin Cowherd was talking about DK Metcalf, and the caption to his video was, "The Steelers trading for DK Metcalf is the same thing as buying a house to save your marriage."
I don't even necessarily agree with that, but that's fucking hilarious. But like all this to say, DK, like I will always cherish the highlight reel plays and everything he did for our team. He was never really got into any incidents off the field or anything. Just a great Seahawk for 6 seasons, and I'll miss him, but I'm not going to miss paying $30 million a year for, not someone that's like Justin Jefferson level.
I'll tell you,
like, it's just, I'm sorry, if you're going to pay a receiver that much and you're not like peak Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and also what I'm not going to miss seeing him on the sideline putting the headset on and demanding to get the ball from our offensive coordinator. Won't miss that.
That's true. He was a bit of a hothead. It's going to be interesting to see how him and George Pickens function together.
Yeah, they're going to like fucking just team up on they're going to team up on Cooper DeJean and like beat him up.
It's like, what are you, white? Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I feel like so much has happened in the last week that's relevant to us, which is pretty rare. Like, I don't know. I guess the last few marches we've had, big names moving on, like Bobby, Russ, now Geno and DK and Lockett.
Yeah, I feel like we're like the main character every offseason. Like all the big moves happen in Seattle.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, if nothing else, getting the 52nd pick, getting the 90th pick or whatever, having 5 top 100 picks in this draft, it's made the draft way more exciting. Like, yeah. I was like feeling kind of about our picks in this draft, but now I'm like, we have the ammo to move up in any of these rounds if we really want to. We have 11 picks, so there's a lot we can do. We have a ton of cap space. Granted, John doesn't really seem to want to use it all that much. I'm waiting for the NFL notification to come through that we signed a superhero guard. Hasn't happened yet.
I will say this is kind of a little off topic, going back to Sam Darnold. I was shocked we signed him today because I assumed because we weren't going to pay Geno, I was like, oh, they're definitely drafting someone. They're not like if
that's kind of what I was thinking.
If we're not going to pay Geno, we're not going to pay anyone, because I just assumed they had the perception of Sam Darnold is good, but he's about the same caliber player as Geno. But then you look at the contract and you're like, oh, we basically just re-signed Geno. But now Geno has a red beard and red hair.
Yeah, and white skin. He got a lot paler. He got the Michael Jackson condition. I forget what it's called. This is very, very similar to the contract we gave Geno in 2023, which was a bargain at the time. It's not that good, but I think it's pretty good. You're guaranteeing him 37 this year, which we had plenty of space to do. And then next year, I think his cap hit is actually lower. So as you're saying, like, I think this is going to be a build year. Like, maybe, unfortunately, we do get somewhere from 8 to 10 wins again. Let's see how it all shakes out. But they're setting themselves up really, really well for 2026, I think.
Agreed.
But yeah, we got tons of cap space left, man. So they got room to make at least one marquee signing. One guy I have my eye on if we don't get, I believe his name is Will Freese. He's like the top right guard. Mekhi Becton, he's like 360 pounds. I think he was on the Saints. He was on the Eagles last year. He just is a road grader in the run game, and I don't know if he athletically fits necessarily with what we're trying to do in the zone scheme, but he's just a monster. He's a mauler, and I think that would go a long way to making a functional run game, which is maybe the biggest thing this team was missing last year.
Yeah, you said he was on the Eagles. I do kind of worry about like signing players from teams that just won the Super Bowl because they're probably trying to get their payday. And we just saw with Draymond Jones, what did that do for us besides piss us off, essentially? So, yeah, I mean, Mekhi Becton, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I recognize that name. He's a good player, obviously.
Yeah, and he's been good for a couple teams for a while, but I don't know how good the scheme fit is, but I do know he's a good player, and you should be able to make a good player work in any scheme, in my opinion.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, it's day one. John Schneider's doing John Schneider things where we usually don't make the giant move day one, in my experience. So we'll see what happens.
Right.
But I guess that's pretty much a wrap on all the Seahawks-related stuff. Is there any around the league moves that caught your eye today? There was a lot of them, so it's kind of a whirlwind.
I'm just gonna pull up the NFL Instagram and just go down the list here because there was some signings I saw. Oh, well, there you have it. Kyle Juszczyk is no longer on the Niners.
I'd be down to sign him. We need a fullback.
Do we?
Kubiak specifically stated he wanted to get a fullback. So if you're,
come on,
if that's what you prioritize, like you might as well get the best one. Najee Harris to the Chargers. It's happening.
God damn it.
We had Devontae Adams signing a $46 million 2-year contract with the Rams. I don't know how the salary cap has just been off for the Rams seemingly forever, but they get Devontae. Not going to lie, like, if he finds his form, that's pretty fucking annoying. We got to play him twice, but he didn't look all that great last season, so I'm not terrified of it. I mean, when we played the Jets last year, they had Devontae, right?
Yeah.
He was a non-factor.
He caught a touchdown, remember?
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
He caught that first touchdown, but then he didn't do anything the rest of the game.
Yeah. So I guess I can't say non-factor, but, like...
It kind of was, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah. He didn't take over the game by any means. So, and that was with, I mean, I guess, you'd probably take this version of Stafford over the current version of Rodgers, right?
Yes.
Okay, then, yeah, never mind. Inside the division, the Cardinals got Josh Sweat. That's a pretty good pass rusher. They got Evan Brown, who was on our team a couple years ago.
Oh, no. Guess who just signed with the Patriots, Chris? Mac Hollins. You gonna trade for him?
Guys, you haven't talked about this.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The
well,
Jets,
there was a reason for that. It's because we would have to talk about it.
I think this was a bad move for the Jets, and I think it was a worse move for Justin Fields because they are a horrible franchise in a horrible situation, and
it's like an alcoholic and a drug addict and met each other, and now they're gonna date. And they both have like children
on a year lease. And the biggest reason why I think this move is a disaster is the media environment in New Jersey for the Jets. They are going to eviscerate this poor kid if he doesn't immediately play good.
And he's going to blame the fans because he already did that in Chicago.
Yeah, and he's just going to be miserable. This could be the fast track to becoming a career backup. I think Justin Fields' ceiling, if he, played how he did last year, maybe a little bit better, is like somewhere from like the 22nd to 18th best quarterback in the league, which there's a place for that for years, Like, look at how many teams Gardner Minshew has started for. Like, you can Ryan Fitzpatrick. You can stick around in that area. But if this is a disaster, which I think it will be, especially like this isn't a guy that's ever operated a high volume passing offense ever. He don't think he's even thrown for like 3,500 yards, and Garrett Wilson is getting sick of bad quarterback play. There's already rumors of him kind of wanting out of New York. This will accelerate those rumors. I just think it's going to no matter what, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like when I look at Justin Fields, I wouldn't even put him on the level of Gardner Minshew or Ryan Fitzpatrick, because they can at least win games and throw the ball downfield. Like, he can't do either. So
I think
that's why I've been out on Fields since day one. Like, he doesn't win. That's really the only thing I care about is, like, his winning percentage in the NFL is just, like, it's got to be one of the worst.
It is terrible. I think he had the Steelers at 4-2 last year during his first 6 games. Granted, it was against bad competition and he lost to the Cowboys, so I'm not going to, give him a bag of roses for that. But, like, he looked better last year than he ever had. But I still, like, I remember after all that, I was like, okay, you should still play Wilson. Like, that's what we were saying. Like, I was not convinced that he was even better than 2024, 2025 version of Russell Wilson, which is
we were right. So
yeah.
So where's Spicy going?
No one knows yet.
Honestly, so whoever gets
Season, though,
Yeah.
Wilson has become a player at this point that will put up good box score numbers and will win games, but he cannot take over a game like he used to, and he is going to get sacked a shitload.
Well, I was going to say, if we're going to hold Darnold accountable for his downgrade to the tail end of the season, we have to talk about Russ's, because Russell Wilson was, like, horrendous the final season or the final month of the season.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's not like he was turning over the ball a crazy amount. It's just he was not moving the ball.
Right.
They were getting 3 and outs like crazy. It reminded me of, like,
that game against the Chiefs, dude, made me so depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was, like, I think that was on Christmas or Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I also think part of it is just the Steelers really weren't as good as their record going into the final stretch of last season, and you could kind of have that sugar high against defenses like the Bengals, but when you played a real one, like, I mean, the running backs aren't that good. The receivers, George Pickens would rather, beat up someone on the sideline than catch a ball. Wilson's old. Fields is ass. Like, they're just, and Arthur Smith is calling the plays. Like, I don't know. I just don't think it's a great operation. But ultimately, Wilson is either going to re-sign with the Steelers or I think probably go to the Giants. But if neither of those things happen, I don't know if there's a place for him as a starter in the league. Like, where would he play?
Yeah, I don't know.
Does anyone like...
The Giants really is the only team that would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Or I would have also...
Career goes to die.
Well, I would have said the Raiders. I was saying the Raiders like 2 weeks ago, but obviously that's not going to happen now.
Also, how's that got to feel if you're Russell Wilson and Pete chose to trade and pay your former backup instead of sign you for probably way cheaper? Probably not very good.
He probably didn't even think about that because he's got such a huge ego. But, but yeah, that's really all I had. Excited to see this man play quarterback for us. It's going to be great. It's a picture of Sam Darnold in case no one can see.
Yeah, I've come full circle from being like, I hate this move to being, you know what? Just get that ginger out there.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That's my QB right there.
Yeah, why not?
Until further notice, that is my guy.
Oh, man.
That should be the preview for this episode.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but excited to see where free agency takes us in the next couple weeks, and looking forward to season 4 JR Takes. It's been a lot of fun.
Maybe we'll even do another episode at the end of the week because I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of more news coming up here.
For sure. Yeah, I almost wanted to do like an instant reaction video of the Geno and just like record myself on my phone, but I didn't. I just wanted to wait for that.
What's funny is I fell asleep on the chair in my living room twice, once on Friday, once on, I think, Saturday or Sunday. And both times I woke up to the Seahawks trading first Geno, then DK, and I was like, what the fuck is this timing?
Well, I didn't even know that they had Geno and DK, like, there was even beef between the two of them, or, like, there was whatever. But it's just kind of funny, like, I'm sure DK was like, well, if you're going to pay Geno, I'm out of here. And they just trade Geno away, and I don't know. It's just kind of funny, the timing of it. Like, it's like these two guys are, like, mad that the other's going to get paid, and then we just trade them both.
You know, I think it's really funny. Last thing I'll say, there was a rumor, don't know how true it was, that DK was like, I want to get $30 million a year. I want to play in warm weather, and I want like a good quarterback
I heard
situation.
that too. Yeah.
Well, you got the $30 million.
He didn't get the other.
But
two
you're
things.
in cold ass Pittsburgh, and you don't even know who's throwing to you right now. Right now, it would be like, I don't even know who's on the Steelers roster right now.
I also, after hearing all that, saw something that was like, the Seahawks are now trying to make DK Metcalf want to say after Sam Darnold conversations have changed the locker room or whatever. So basically, like, that was also bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? But, I mean, onwards and upwards, we can't think about what could have been. This just, you know, we're turning the page on kind of a whole era of Seahawks football.
We can't think about what could have been. We've done enough of that with the 2014 Super Bowl, okay?
Yeah. I think it's kind of, the further we get away from that and anyone that was here for it,
the better.
Yeah. Because anything else is just for nostalgia's sake.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, there's our mascots, which means it's time to wrap this thing up. So Thanks for listening if you made it this far, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.